The train rattled down the tracks, a lonesome sound cutting through the stillness of the summer night. The rhythmic clatter of the wheels was almost hypnotic, a steady beat that seemed to sync with the pulse of the earth itself. Warm air, heavy with the scent of wildflowers and distant rain, drifted through the open window. It carried whispers of stories untold, of places unseen, and of dreams yet to be realized. The setting sun painted the sky in hues of orange and purple, casting a magical glow over the landscape. It was a fleeting moment of beauty, a reminder that even in the darkest times, there is light. A breathtaking spectacle that did little to ease the protagonist's troubled mind. His thoughts were a tangled web of regrets and what-ifs, each one pulling him deeper into his own despair. He was a young man, barely a man, running from a past riddled with mistakes and shadowed by bad luck. His journey was not just a physical one, but a quest for redemption, for a chance to rewrite his story. Each click of the train wheels on the tracks seemed to echo his own unsteady heartbeat. It was a constant reminder of the passage of time, of the distance growing between him and his past. He clutched his worn leather bag close, his only companion on this journey into the unknown. Inside it were the remnants of his old life, tokens of memories he couldn't quite let go of. He was searching for a new beginning, a chance to outrun the shadows that clung to him. Hope was a fragile thing, but it was all he had left. He didn't know where he was going, only that he couldn't stay where he was. The uncertainty was both terrifying and exhilarating, a mix of fear and excitement that kept him on edge. The train journey was his escape, his leap of faith into the vast unknown. It was a journey of self-discovery, a path that he hoped would lead him to a place where he could finally find peace. The train car was mostly empty. The rhythmic clatter lulled some passengers into a light sleep, their faces hidden behind books or scarves. The young man, however, couldn't find peace. He shifted in his seat, his gaze darting around the car, alighting on faces, then quickly moving on. He envied their apparent calm, their sense of purpose. He felt adrift, like a small boat tossed about in a vast, stormy sea. His own life felt like a gamble gone wrong, a hand played poorly, leaving him with nothing but regret. He closed his eyes, willing himself to find some peace. Instead, images of his past mistakes, his follies and their consequences flashed before his eyes. The weight of his regrets pressed down on him, suffocating him. A voice, smooth as velvet, broke through his troubled thoughts. "Rough day, son?" The young man opened his eyes to find himself looking into the kindest eyes he'd ever seen. They were eyes that seemed to hold 1,000 stories, each one more intriguing than the last. They belonged to an older man, his face etched with the lines of a life well lived. Each wrinkle seemed to tell a tale of its own, a testament to the years he had seen and the wisdom he had gained. He was dressed in a crisp suit, a stark contrast to the young man's rumpled clothes. The suit was immaculate, almost as if it had been tailored just for him, exuding an air of sophistication and grace. A worn deck of cards peeked out from his pocket, and a silver ring adorned with a single emerald glinted on his finger. The cards looked like they had seen countless games, each one a silent witness to the man's past. He had an aura of quiet confidence, of someone who had seen it all and emerged stronger. It was the kind of confidence that couldn't be faked, born from years of experience and countless challenges overcome. "You could say that, sir," the young man mumbled, surprised by the sudden intrusion. He wasn't used to strangers taking an interest in his troubles, especially not ones who seemed so out of place in his world. The older man smiled, a knowing look in his eyes. It was a smile that suggested he understood more than he let on, as if he had been in the young man's shoes once upon a time. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, his voice gentle yet firm. It was less of a question and more of a statement, as if he already knew the answer. A little company never hurt anyone, especially on a long journey like this. His words hung in the air, offering a sense of comfort and companionship that the young man hadn't realized he needed. Without waiting for an answer, he settled into the seat opposite the young man, his movements fluid and graceful. It was as if he belonged there, a calming presence in the midst of the young man's turmoil. "I'm a gambler by trade," the older man said, his voice barely a murmur above the rhythmic clatter of the train. His eyes, though weary, held a spark of wisdom that only years of experience could bring. He held up the deck of cards, fanning them out with a practiced hand. Each card seemed to tell a story, a tale of victories and losses, of risks taken and lessons learned. Life, my boy, is a lot like a game of cards. It's unpredictable, full of twists and turns, and you never know what hand you'll be dealt next. You're dealt a hand, and it's up to you to play it right. The choices you make with each card can change the course of your life. He shuffled the cards, the movement swift and mesmerizing. It was clear he had spent countless hours perfecting his craft. Sometimes you get dealt a good hand, sometimes a bad one. But remember, it's not the hand you're dealt that defines you, but how you play it. The trick is not to get too attached to either. Stay grounded, stay focused, and always be ready to adapt. You see, it's not about the cards you're dealt, but how you play them. Strategy, patience, and a bit of luck can turn even the worst hand into a winning one. Take risks, he continued, his voice taking on a serious tone. But choose your battles wisely. Not every risk is worth taking. Know when to hold them and know when to fold them. This wisdom applies not just to cards but to life itself. Don't be afraid to walk away from a bad hand even if it means losing some in the process. Sometimes retreating is the best strategy because sometimes, son, losing a battle is what wins you the war. Remember, life is a long game and every decision you make is a step towards your ultimate victory. The young man listened, captivated. The gambler's words resonated deep within him, echoing the unspoken anxieties that plagued him. He had held on to his past mistakes, letting them define him, dictate his every move. The gambler's words were like a lifeline, a beacon of hope in the darkness of his despair. He realized that he had a choice, to continue clinging to the wreckage of his past, or to let go and start anew. Life, my boy, is full of second chances, the gambler said, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. But you have to be willing to take them. Don't be afraid to fold a losing hand and start afresh. The greatest gamble you can ever make is on yourself. As the night wore on, the gambler shared more stories, each one a lesson in disguise. He spoke of triumphs and failures, of risks taken and lessons learned. He spoke of the importance of resilience, of picking yourself up after a fall and trying again. As dawn approached, bathing the carriage in a soft, ethereal glow, the gambler grew quiet. He leaned back in his seat, his breathing shallow. A peaceful serenity settled over his features, erasing the lines of time and worry. He looked at the young man, his eyes filled with a lifetime's worth of wisdom. "It's been a good hand, son," he whispered, his voice raspy with fatigue. "May you play yours well." And with that he closed his eyes, his chest stilling. The gambler had played his final hand. The young man sat there stunned as the train continued its journey. The gambler's passing was sudden, unexpected, yet it held a strange sense of peace. He felt a profound sense of gratitude for this chance encounter, this fleeting connection that had left an indelible mark on his soul. He looked at the deck of cards lying on the empty seat opposite him, a tangible reminder of the gambler's wisdom. He picked them up, feeling the worn texture under his fingertips. He didn't know what the future held, but he no longer felt like a passenger adrift. He had been given a gift, a roadmap to navigate the uncertain terrain of life. The gambler's words, his stories, had planted seeds of resilience and hope in his heart. He was ready to play his hand.